Years passed, fame grew, money filled my accounts, crowds chanted my name. But inside, I was dead. No peace, no rest, no sleep. Every night, I felt the breath of darkness on my neck. Every night, I heard the same whisper, "You owe more." And I knew, the next demand would be bigger than a person, bigger than a destiny. And the next demand was my own life.
This is the continuation of our previous video. South African ex-Satanic pastor exposes how the devil uses churches and celebrities to destroy lives. In that episode, our brother talked or revealed to us how the devil uses celebrities and even pastor to work his way into our lives and destroy us. In this episode, he takes us into how even after sacrificing a lot of souls and people for the devil, he eventually faced the wrath of the devil. We will find out what happened, what the devil did, and what he survived. Don't forget what he said. The devil gave him fame, crowds, and money. In return, he gave the devil human souls. Pastors sacrificed their own members for power. Celebrities make blood oaths just to stay relevant. And the devil made sure all of them smiled on stage, so no one would ever suspect the truth. Let us listen to him now.
Like I said, I never planned to become a servant of darkness. I only wanted to escape poverty. And in my quest for fame, power, and affluence, I ended up losing my mother, myself, my sanity, and everything the devil ever gave me. But before I go into that, let me say something about the third gateway which the devil uses to destroy people. I said the third gateway is relationship and mentorship. The system is the most silent. The devil uses this system of relationships disguised as mentorship, dating, spiritual fathering and coaching. If a young person looked up to me as their spiritual father, their destiny was easier to harvest. The more emotionally attached they were, the easier it was to redirect their life. I did not need to curse them. I just needed them to admire me. Admiration itself becomes a spiritual covenant. At this level of darkness, I no longer needed to sacrifice anyone intentionally. The system harvested automatically. Thousands came to my services. Thousands admired me. Thousands believed in me. So, every period in time, destinies were harvested. Every testimony became evidence of another soul tied to darkness. People returned home feeling delivered, but about 3 to 6 months later, their lives collapsed. Some became addicted to church, unable to function without constant prayer. Some lost their minds. Some lost marriages. Some lost everything. And every time someone's destiny was destroyed, my fame grew. Soon, I was no longer just a rising pastor. I had become a spiritual distributor, a recruiter, a handler, a destiny thief. This is how the system works across Southern Africa. Churches emotionally hook people. Celebrities influence culture and normalize darkness. And then, mentors seal the emotional covenant. Power flows upward. Destinies flow downward. And the darkness stays hidden behind motivational quotes, worship concerts, church conferences and viral music videos. People think the devil appears with horns. No. He appears through your favorite pastor, your favorite musician, and your favorite influencer. The devil does not search for sinners. He hunts the hopeful. People who are desperate for breakthrough. People looking for acceptance. People searching for destiny. Because destiny is the real currency. The thing is that, years passed. Fame grew. Money filled my accounts. Crowds chanted my name. But inside, I was dead. No peace. No rest. No sleep. Every night, I felt the breath of darkness on my neck. Every night, I heard the same whisper, "You owe more." And I knew, the next demand would be bigger than a person. Bigger than a destiny. And the next demand was my own life. Yes, you heard me right. The darkness finally came to collect its debt, and it wanted me. You see, I used to believe that spiritual warfare was a thing you only heard preached on Sundays. I thought demons existed only in Bible stories or horror movies. But when I entered the inner circle of influence in South Africa, where faith and fame merged into a well-oiled machine of manipulation, I saw something else. I saw darkness packaged as inspiration. I saw the devil dressed in designer suits. Now hear this, When the organization finally brought me back from Durban, I thought I was returning to continue destroying churches with influence and stage miracles. But instead, I was being prepared to graduate to the highest level, the level they simply referred to as the final command. They never explained what that meant. They didn't need to. By then, my body obeyed them without my mind needing to understand. My handler, a man known in Johannesburg only as the architect, told me that this final stage would earn me an international mantle. Fame beyond South Africa. Access to top celebrities. Global ministry. He said all I needed was one final submission. I should have known then that God was trying to warn me. Let me explain my reason for saying God was trying to warn me. For the first time since I joined the organization, I began waking up at 3 a.m., heart pounding, chest tight, but not from demonic presence. Instead, it felt like my soul was calling for rescue. But the sad thing is, I ignored it. I still wanted the power, the fame, the attention. Maybe someone will say that I wasn't possessed anymore. Maybe I was just addicted. And you would be right if you say that. The final command was scheduled for the same night as a massive Christian worship event happening in Pretoria. Thousands of young people were registered to attend. Young people desperate for hope. Young people searching for God. The irony was cruel. The organization planned to steal that worship night's spiritual energy and convert it into rituals for influence, fame, and contracts. They called it harvesting emotion. The more people cried during worship, the more powerful the ritual became. It sounded ridiculous. Yes, it will sound that, until you walk into the underground site of most of these programs' venues. You see, from the outside, it was just a conference hall. Or even stadiums. The kind no one pays attention to with such mind. Inside, however, it felt like a vault for human souls. Nothing about it resembled religion. There was no cross. No scripture. Just symbols burned into the walls, symbols that looked ancient, carved through fire and blood. Smoke filled the room. Not incense, but burning human hair. I felt my stomach twist. I knew enough to recognize that smell. 3 well-known African gospel artists were already in the hall, faces I had seen on TV, faces loved by millions. Yet here, their eyes looked hollow. Not demons, contracts had enslaved them. Every lift of their voice in church fed the organization spiritually. The devil didn't need to possess them, he owned their influence. Then, they turned to me. My assignment had changed. I was no longer just a vessel. I was the sacrifice. They wanted me to give up the last part of myself, the part that still wanted God. To remove every form of conscience. Every last trace of fear or guilt. That was the final command. I stood in the center of the ritual circle, body trembling, knowing there was no turning back. The room spun as I felt an unseen force press down on me. My vision blurred. I could hear chanting. Shadows moved along the walls. It felt like drowning without water. My mind screamed. My spirit whispered. My body gave up. I knew that if I surrendered in that moment, the organization would use me to infiltrate churches, mentor young ministers, and influence celebrity culture on a scale I could not imagine. Entire generations of Christians would be deceived. Pastors would quote me. Celebrities would follow me. People would worship me. And they would never know they were worshiping darkness. And let me tell you this profound thing that happened. Just as the ritual reached its climax, I felt something strange. It wasn't demonic. It wasn't manipulation. It was like a wind inside me. Quiet, gentle, but fierce. For the first time in years, I felt the presence of something that was far more than what I was used to. The truth is that there was no voice. No thunder. Just a simple awareness, and that awareness made me understand that I can still choose. One thing I want everyone listening to understand is that freedom does not always come with angels. Sometimes it comes with pain. And mine came with pain. You see, I collapsed to the ground, not from surrender, but from resistance. I crawled out of the ritual circle, body shaking violently. The room erupted in chaos. The gospel artists began chanting louder. The handlers tried to drag me back. But the wind in me kept pushing. My ears rang. My heart pounded. And then, everything went silent. When I opened my eyes, I was outside, lying on gravel, chest burning. I ran. I didn't look back. I kept running until my lungs felt like they would burst. That night, I left everything behind: money, position, power, influence. I slept on the cold ground in my hotel room in Pretoria, shaking and weeping until morning. The truth, I wasn't free yet. But I had chosen freedom. It took me months before the nightmares began to fade. It even took me longer before I found people I can trust as not working for the devil. Persons that cared more about people than stage lights. It took years before I could speak entirely about my involvement in these evil networks. But slowly and painfully, I learned something. I learned that demons can be cast out, but addiction to fame must be surrendered. But today, I am no longer a vessel for darkness. I am a witness. I expose what I once helped build. And if my testimony destroys and makes someone uncomfortable just to win someone from being a victim, the favorite celebrity pastors or gospel stars, then so be it. Because no platform, no worship event, no miracle service is worth the price of a soul. I want to leave you with this quote: freedom costs everything, but bondage costs more.
To you, my brothers and sisters watching this right now. If fame ever felt tempting, if shortcuts ever felt easier, if you ever wondered why some people rise overnight, remember this: everything the devil gives has a receipt. And the payment is always your soul. But there is good news, the kind the world cannot sell. You don't have to be perfect to return to God. You just have to choose Him. No stage, no spotlight, no title, just surrender. So right now, not tomorrow, not next month, right now, choose freedom. Choose light. Choose life. Because the devil knows your name. But only God knows your destiny. And long after the lights fade and the applause dies and the fame dissolves, only one question will matter: did you know Christ? Or did you know crowds? The thing is, there is a moment, in every story like this, where the human mind pauses and asks, how did we fail to see it? How did we let celebrities become gods? How did we let pastors become untouchable? How did we let church stages become altars of performance instead of places of true worship? We were dazzled by bright lights, and blinded by them at the same time. Throughout this confession, one truth has echoed louder than every ritual, every sacrifice, every manipulation. The devil does not need to stop churches from growing. He only needs to control who leads them. He doesn't destroy influence. He borrows it. He doesn't shut down churches. He infiltrates them. He doesn't silence voices. He amplifies the wrong ones. And that is his greatest weapon. Because influence shapes belief. Belief shapes behavior. Behavior shapes destiny. In these 2 episodes, you didn't just hear a story about a former satanic pastor. You heard a warning. Some of the people we celebrate, some of the voices we follow, some of the anointed vessels we repost are not leading souls to God. They are leading crowds to darkness wrapped in scripture. They speak in tongues on Sunday and sign spiritual contracts on Monday. They preach about light but live in darkness. And the question is no longer, are there satanic pastors in our pulpits? We now ask, how many? Who are they influencing? And have they influenced me? This is not the moment to point fingers at celebrities, pastors, prophets, or worship leaders. This is the moment to point inward. Because the devil doesn't only target pastors. He targets the insecure, the desperate, the curious, the hungry, and the ambitious. He targets anyone who craves influence without first building intimacy with God. This platform will always expose darkness, not to create fear, but to lead people back to truth. If this story touched you, don't just watch. Don't just comment. Don't just share. Pray, reflect, and return. This is Dangerous African Confessions HD. And we will not stop exposing what destroys destinies, because every soul matters, including yours.